We are continuing with our series, Stop Asking Questions. We're covering the Erika Kirk Candace Owens War. There is so much to cover, and I want to be respectful of both sides. Erika Kirk, Candace Owens. We're going surgical on this because Erika Kirk just had her town hall, and it was uploaded late Saturday night. And so I watched it, and this is my thoughts around that. We're going to be going hard this week, folks. We're going to be going hard in the paint because there's so much to cover. We have a Tyler Robinson trial that's beginning as well. I am quite positive Candace Owens is going to be rolling up her sleeves, dissecting this CBS town hall piece by piece with, I'm sure, evidence, as in text messages, whatever. Like, basically the gauntlet's been dropped. And this is Don't Miss TV. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations.
In a dark world, remember to be the light. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations. Here is your host, the Black Swan himself, Shane.
All right, as you guys know, this channel is dedicated to Black Swan events that I've been on record to say. On September 10th, I just happened to be on the phone with a security guard when he said, I have to go because Charlie Kirk was just shot. So what I did is I jumped on my computer, I hit record, and I went on record to say this is a Black Swan event. I don't know why I said that so early in the game. I didn't say that with Donald Trump, because often I'll say things, this kind of feels like this could be, or this could lead up to a Black Swan event or whatever. But in the nature of Black Swan events, the DNA of a Black Swan event is you can't predict it. You can't predict it. So I believe Charlie Kirk's assassination fulfills the three requirements of a Black Swan event. The first requirement is it's highly improbable, as in you can't guess when it's going to happen. You can't predict it. It's almost like it's outside of your realm. So it's highly probable. You can't predict it. Nobody predicted that Charlie Kirk was going to be killed on September 10th. And people say people knew about it. That's not a prediction. Pearl Harbor, I always give this example because this kind of sets people straight on what a Black Swan event is. The masses, talking about America, did not know on December 7th that Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked, a military base by Japan. They did not know that. And you can argue that people knew because they planned it. That's different. We're not talking about the government. We're not talking about the government we're not talking about the Empire of Japan. Clearly, the Japanese planned it for 6 to 9 months before Pearl Harbor. So to them, it wasn't a Black Swan event, but to them, they woke up a sleeping giant. So, and I've talked about this before, so we got to get onto this Erika Kirk and Candace war. But sometimes I need a little bit of a background. It's highly improbable. The second criteria is it changes the world literally the next day. And it did. It created a split, if you will, on the right. And now we have Erika Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, and we have Candace Owens, arguably the number one podcaster on YouTube. And there's a faction. It's split. And if you talk about this subject, you're going to get all kinds of hate. So it's weird that we're having a conversation like this to say, okay, here's a town hall, and we're going to get through all the conspiracies, the Egyptian planes. We're gonna tackle all of that stuff because this is what Charlie Kirk wanted. And yet, if you ask questions, people say, stop doing it, stop asking questions. And it's contrary to what Charlie Kirk did and what he wanted. Often at events, he would say something, say his point, and then he would take the microphone and he'd put it down and let you talk, let you have your point. So, with all due respect, if you could do that as well on this channel, I get it that people have different opinions, but if you could just pretend and put the mic down and let me speak, I will do my best to share both sides of the story. But eventually, you're going to have to make an opinion. You're going to have to make a jump and say, I either agree with Erika or something's up. She's missing something. Or you have to agree and you have to disagree. You either have to agree with Erika and disagree with Candace, or you have to agree with Candace and disagree with Erika. It's almost that much of a rift. It can't be a mix. It can't be a mix as in, yeah, it's okay for Erika to lie about some things, but not other things, right? So that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to seek the truth. We're trying to get to the bottom of this, and it's going to take time to unpack it. It just is. So that's why I created this series, and trying to keep it under an hour is going to be almost impossible because there's so much stuff. So let's begin with the town hall. We're just going to dissect it piece by piece. I'm going to interject from time to time when something pops up that I need to talk about, and I'll share my commentary. So here we go.
And I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let me tell you why we're here. If you're watching this or you're sitting here in this room with me, you know what I know, which is that we live in a very divided country. A country where many people feel that they can't speak across the political divide. Sometimes they feel they can't even speak across their own kitchen table. And one of the goals of the new CBS News is to change that. And this town hall is just the beginning.
All right, so this is true, what this lady is saying, is the idea that it is almost getting to a point where you can't have a conversation at the kitchen table. You bring up Erika, people roll their eyes. You bring up Candace, people roll their eyes. And yet, and there's also people saying you're doing this for clicks, you're doing this for views. And after they say that, then they do a long format interview like this, or at least 50 minutes, and they talk about everything on CBS. But that's okay if they ask the questions. Media outlets, huge media outlets. But if we ask the questions, as in myself, my little channel, if I ask questions, then it's like, why are you spending so much time on this? because it is a topic we need to address, because somebody got assassinated on public soil in the United States of America. And you can't just throw that under the carpet, and you can't just tell us to stop when all the media outlets are interviewing Erika Kirk nonstop. She's bouncing from media outlet to media outlet. I'm assuming also promoting Charlie's book, Stop. And you got to think about that. The reason why Erika is saying stop is it also ties in with Charlie Kirk's book, which is about the Sabbath, but she's going to be emphasizing the word stop. So anytime you type in the word stop in the search engine, you're going to get either Erika Kirk or you're going to get his book. And it's sold out right now. So there is a method to this by saying the word stop, because again, stop is right at the beginning of the book. So when she says it, we think she's constantly telling Candace Owens to stop, which is a brilliant move on her part, but it's actually endorsing Charlie Kirk's book as well, because that's the title of the book, Stop. Let's continue.
This is going to be the first of many conversations and debates on CBS News about the things that matter most, which are often the hardest to talk about. I can make one promise to you, and it's this. You will not agree with everything you hear tonight or in any of these other broadcasts. And that is exactly the point.
Exactly. So if we can agree to disagree, I think we can go deeper with this conversation. If we can say, look, it's okay to pick sides. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm actually more on the Candace Owens side. It's okay to say that, because that's where I'm at. I'm on that side. But I'm willing to listen to the other side and see what she has to say and document it, because that's what this channel does. We watch political assassination attempts, conspiracies, all kinds of stuff on this channel. It's a Black Swan event channel. So if something happens that causes you to turn your head, like the Charlie Kirk assassination, I'm going to be talking about it on this channel. So this lady is setting the ground rules, which I appreciate. The idea that we can agree to disagree. This is what Charlie wanted. So as long as we're keeping that in mind, and I'm going to continue to remind you throughout this show that it's okay to disagree with someone without killing them. It's okay. You don't have to get mad and go get a gun and take someone out. This is a conversation with opinions. That's all we're doing, is we're sharing our opinions to try and find out the truth, not trying to stop conversations.
Because the premise of a democracy is that we persuade each other with words and not violence, and that the only way to get to the truth is by talking to one another. And that brings me right to tonight's guests, Erika Kirk. 3 months ago, Erika Kirk's husband, Charlie, was assassinated on a college campus in Utah. To some, Charlie Kirk was
It's pretty quiet there. I didn't hear anybody clapping, but maybe they said to the audience, don't clap because we're pre-recording this. Don't know. But I heard one clap. So that was like, kind of weird.
controversial. To others, he was heroic. What is indisputable is that he transformed the American right in the 21st century. He did it through an organization called Turning Point USA, which he founded when he was only 18 years old. In the wake of Charlie's murder, Erika has now picked up his mantle. The mother of 2 young children, she is also now the CEO and chairwoman of Turning Point. Now, Charlie's murder was not an isolated tragedy. And tonight in the audience, we have other victims of the political violence that's ripping through this country. We also have religious leaders, college students, young Christians, and others invited by CBS News. You're going to be hearing from some of them tonight. Okay, we have a lot to talk about. So Erika, let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I was very grateful when you had reached out because it was an opportunity to be able to have a conversation that Charlie always enjoyed, being able to have dialogue on both sides so that people could really hear everything that's going on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for making the time. There's so many subjects I want to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I want to begin with the hours and days after your husband was murdered.
Yes.
You got up in his podcast studio where he broadcasted from for many hours every day.
Yeah.
And you said this. You said, "You have no idea what you have just unleashed." What did you mean by that?
This is where Erica's probably going to jump a little bit around to build up the foundation of what she said. You have no idea what you unleashed. To me, that meant when she was there is when you kill Charlie Kirk, you basically produce a million Charlie Kirks. So I'm hoping she gets to that reason. Some people might think that she's pointing it at Candace Owens, but this was before anything like that was going on. And remember, when Candace Owens was doing a deep dive, she wasn't going after Turning Point at all. She wasn't going after Erika Kirk at all. She was just asking questions. And then some of the things started coming out of Turning Point that were like, this seems off because this is what this person said. And now you're saying this. So I'm interested to hear what Erika says on this point.
Let me give you a little background of that day. We get home. The team goes to dinner. I'm laying in my daughter's bed, and I can't sleep. It took me months to even walk into my bedroom. I'm laying in my daughter's bed. I can't sleep. I grab my phone, and I start typing out it. And those are my words.
It's almost like she was going to say something else and then stop. I'm typing out my thoughts, I guess, and those are my words. So she typed out her message of what she's going to say when she goes on to the Charlie Kirk show.
That morning, the team reached out to me and said, they think they got the guy. You should probably say thank you to the authorities and just make a statement. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. I wasn't afraid. They said, let's go to the office and let's discuss. We're at the office and they say, do you want to go live? Or we can easily, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. We can easily pre-record this. I said, absolutely not. My husband always went live. I have nothing to hide. We're fully transparent. What you see is what you get. If I start breaking down on live TV, I break down on live TV. My husband was assassinated. He didn't die in a car accident.
Which is interesting that this is a pre-recording, like the CBS News town hall. This is a pre-recorded. So my husband always went live, and I get it. Like I'm going live every once in a while as well, and I usually go for like 2 hours. But it's raw. It's real. It's authentic when you go live because you have interaction with the audience. The reason why I do this type of series is because I got to grab several clips. I got to edit things, as in pause it, talk about it, pause it, talk about it. And sometimes you can't correspond right away with the audience. So there is a benefit of pre-recording because then you can watch it with the audience and interact in the comments with the audience. But live, sometimes you don't get that. It is raw. You get to see the tears and all that. So it's interesting that she said that Charlie Kirk would always go live. That's the thing to do. But this interview was not live. I would have been interested if watching it while it was live. And I think they are doing a live either today or tomorrow or sometime this week. I'm pretty sure. And Candace Owens is going to have a field day with this interview. So this is why I'm doing this thoroughly, piece by piece, just going through this entire interview. Let's continue.
So we go live. I write all of my own speeches. And when I said that, that is the Holy Spirit that is unleashed. That is a revival that's unleashed. That's not meant for call to violence. That's meant for people to understand that the Lord is moving in ways we have no idea. And God is going to use some.
Okay, so she's saying that was the Holy Spirit saying to her that you have no idea what you released by killing my husband. I thought that was pointed to the idea that other Charlie Kirks were going to pop up all over the place, asking the hard questions about what happened to Charlie Kirk. That's what I was thinking that she meant. That if you try and kill Charlie, more will pop up all over the world in his place. Again, asking the question and putting the mic down. That's what I thought. I didn't think it was a violent, you have no idea what you're unleashing. So I'll give her some of that where it's just the tone is a little bit different. You have no idea what you unleash. Like you can't kill Charlie because others pop up. That's the tone and that's the vibe that I got. I didn't get this is going to be a revival. Churches are going to be exploding all over North America where young people are just going to come pouring in and all this kind of stuff. And maybe that happened. It does feel like a little bit more people are now aware that people are not being told the truth all the time. I think that's more what's happening than people flocking to the church. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. Let's continue.
Something so tragic to wake people up to realize that our life is short. He only lived 31 years. 31 years. And so, yes, you have no idea what has been unleashed. But I will promise until my last breath that I will let the Lord use me in ways that he only can to bring glory to him and to the kingdom. And it has been unbelievably powerful. And it's just the beginning.
Erika, one of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
Yeah, that's crazy. to say that because and you hear that. I've heard that with Donald Trump when he got shot in the ear. People are like that he had it coming. And I've heard that on various media outlets about Charlie Kirk that, well, you keep talking about hateful stuff, it's going to happen to you. You're going to get it. And it's weird, right? Because again, we're talking about the idea of just words. Words. That's all we're doing is we're asking questions. And to get taken out for that by the left to say he had it coming is weird. And I feel for Erika on that.
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us. My husband did something very simple. He talked to people. You're going to be murdered for talking to people. He didn't go after people, he went after your ideas. And if you think it's okay to murder someone because you think they had it coming for them, because they took the time to have people come to the front of the line if they didn't agree with you, and you think it's okay because you don't like what they say or how they say it, that they should be murdered, and you're enjoying it and you're rejoicing in that, that is evil.
I do remember one guy jumping up, and she is tugging on my heartstrings. Like, if you're talking about a line right down the middle, Candace Owens, Erika Kirk, she's now drawing me in over to the left side, because I'm like, wow, that feels very heartfelt. That feels very raw, very real. I believe her, what she's saying, that it's weird to be able to have a conversation and to get hate over it, instead of answering the question, instead of talking about it and saying, yeah, okay, you have your opinion, but here's why I said it this way, or here's what's happening, here's the reason why I'm asking that question, or whatever it is. And then having a conversation. Like, I'm so shocked that Erika Kirk and Candace Owens can't be under one roof virtually, because you could do that. This is a virtual town hall. We can watch this from home, from anywhere in the world. I'm surprised that both of them didn't get together right out of the gate and start having these tough conversations, and then start asking the hard ones, overturning every single stone. That part is a little bit surprising to me. Let's continue.
Evil. Excuse me.
As you know, and as I know, one of the ideas that has gained a lot of traction among young people, especially in this country, Erika, is, and this leads them to this kind of justification, is the idea that words themselves are violence. And that brings us tonight to our first audience question. It comes from Angel Eduardo. Angel is a senior writer and editor for the civil libertarian group, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, and he writes passionately about issues of free speech. Angel.
Thank you, Bari. Excuse me. Hi, Erika. My condolences. A recent survey that we took after Charlie's assassination found that 90% of undergraduates believe to some extent that words can be violence. Another FIRE survey that we took earlier also found that 1/3 of surveyed students believe that using violence to stop disfavored speech can be acceptable, at least in rare cases. What's your response to those numbers? And what would you say to those students in particular?
Well, for the people who say that my husband might have incited violence, I know that was not your question, but I'm going to put a squash on it before anyone else can attach to that. My husband never incited violence. He never once said, go after them because they're saying X, Y, Z and they deserve to die. My husband never once said that, and he never would. What did he say? Come to the front of the line. I'll put my mic down. Tell me why you believe that. Well, that's interesting. I never thought of that. But have you thought of this?
Again, to me, this is a great reason to have Candace on your show, because that's what Charlie would have wanted, is to ask the tough questions. Okay, why did you say it like that? Or why did you have that opinion? And then Erika would put the mic down, and then Candace would pick the mic up. I think that would be explosive TV, where you have the mic, Candace says something, puts the mic down. Erika picks up the mic, says something as well, and then nobody speaks until they pick up the mic. That way there's not an argument back and forth, because that's what Charlie would have done. That's what he would have liked. I'm sure of it. I'm 1000% sure that Charlie would have encouraged an open debate, because that's what his whole platform was about, is about the idea of being able to reach out to someone that you disagree with without threatening them by saying things like, you're evil, you're mentally ill, there's something wrong with you by asking questions, you're clearly mentally ill. And I've heard those coming from the left and the right towards Candace, saying you're mentally ill. And I don't think Charlie would have done that. I think again, like what Erika said, Charlie didn't promote violence. And that's what people on the left have been saying, that he's inciting violence with their words of hate, of hatred. And it's like, if you phrase words as hate speech, which in Canada, they're trying to do this stuff. Like, they're trying to get rid of books of the Bible and say, no, you can't quote that. You can't talk about that because that's hate speech. Hate speech leads to violence. That's where we are in Canada. So I implore you Americans, if you do the same thing, if you start thinking that opinions are equal to violence and hate speech, you're going to end up the same way as us in Canada. You're going to go down that path. And I'm telling you, you don't want to go down that path. So this is why I continue to talk about this from Canada to my American fellows, that you have to have dialogue like this on both sides of the fence to get to the truth. You have to do it. So I implore Turning Point USA to have Candace on virtually. You don't have to be in the same place these days. You don't have to. You can have a virtual debate, a virtual town hall, a virtual meeting just like this, but you can beam in people from all over the world. It's not hard to do. I'm just surprised that they may not do it. I will be surprised if they don't, if they never talk to Candace, whether virtually or in person. That seems weird because, again, Erika is going to be talking about Candace here.
People heckling, laughing at them. Stop. It took a lot of courage for them to come up here. Stop doing that. He gave them a microphone. He didn't take away a moment for them to speak back. He gave them a microphone. And what they do, they gave him a bullet in the neck. Totally different. But you have secular revolutionaries that want to come out and say, you can't say that, and I'm going to stop you from saying it. I'm going to... Why? You don't have a conversation. Something as simple as a conversation. And this is what is so fascinating to me. My husband knew that something as simple as having a conversation could change the world. So simple. That is an ancient thing. Come and sit down and have coffee with me. Why do you believe what you believe? 80s and 90s, they were doing this in Congress, then going to have a Subway afterwards. Why don't we do that anymore? Instead, it's violence. Usually one-sided. I'm not going to go there. But you know what's so interesting about my husband's book, the last book he will ever write? It could have been about politics. It could have been about football. It could have been about anything. He was multidimensional. It literally says, stop in the name of God. Stop.
There you go. So again, I'm glad she's bringing this up because this is good. And I'm feeling her passion now towards her husband and towards the violent left, if you will, because you have to have a cup of coffee. You have to have a conversation. So again, I'm hoping what would happen is that on Monday, instead of Candace coming back at Erika, I really hope that she would just say, you know what? While I'm doing this, like I can put a pause on this if we can get together on a show. I will stop asking questions about the Egyptian planes and where were you and why were these planes following you around for the last 2 years and all this kind of stuff. I will put a pause in order for us to have a conversation and get my answers, and then maybe they can work on things together. Don't know. But clearly, again, that's what Charlie would have wanted. Let's continue.
Stop the violence. Stop the hate. Have a conversation. Stop. And what he knew in that book was not just so much stop that, take a minute to get off of your phone and realize that we are all human operating on this
What's interesting about that, and maybe in another future episode I'll tackle this, but get off your phone is an interesting theme to talk about. When Charlie Kirk got assassinated, Mickey McCoy was on his phone while Charlie Kirk was doing his debate when he got shot, and Mickey McCoy turned around and walked away. And I hope that she would address that, because that's weird. Like, because if we're talking about stop, why was Mickey on the phone already and walked away and didn't even see? It was almost impossible for him to see Charlie Kirk shot because it happened so fast, and he turned around even before Charlie Kirk was pushed onto the ground after he got shot. He was gone. So if we're talking about stop to pause, which is what I believe Charlie Kirk's book is about taking time on the Sabbath, on a Saturday, spending time, turning off your cell phone, all this kind of stuff. It's interesting that she recorded, obviously. When did she record? I think she recorded it in the middle of the week, I think, was this town hall. And it was aired last night, like at 11 o'clock or a couple nights ago. So my point is, it's interesting that this is one of the conspiracies that popped up is, Mickey, why were you on your phone? Or Mikey McCoy, why were you on the Mighty Mouse? Why were you on your phone when Charlie Kirk got shot? What were you doing? You didn't even dial anybody to say, hey, Erika, your husband just got shot. You were already on the phone, and you put the phone up to your ear and walked away. You weren't plugging your phone because it was so loud. Nobody at that place thought it was so loud that their ears were ringing. Nobody thought that. It was only Mikey McCoy or someone that said on his behalf that, hey, he plugged his ears and walked away because it was so loud. It's like, really? It kind of looked like you plugged your ears so that you can hear better, because this is what people do when they're trying to talk and they're like, I can't hear you. Hang on one sec. Yeah, Charlie Kirk was shot. Like, that's what it looked like. And I hope that they would address this, whether I don't think they'll talk about this. She's not going to talk against her family at all at this town hall, at all. Let's continue.
broken planet, all sinful, no one's perfect, and we're not getting out of here alive. But what he knew in that book was the balancing factor of communication. You cannot communicate with someone if you're not at peace with yourself. So he went on campus talking to a kid. They're screaming at him, screaming. Does he scream back? Not once. He sits there. And you know what he's thinking? It's in that book. Maybe you need to take a few hours. Get off your phone. Go for a walk in nature. Go sit and have a coffee. Go and tell your mother you love her. Go do something that is beautiful and healing instead of trying to tear something down that you did not build. That's my thought on that.
Again, it's interesting because I think I think what had happened with Mickey McCoy was he called his dad. We're still not sure what the order was. I think he called Erika first, then his dad, and said, pray for us. Charlie Kirk is shot, got off the phone. Talked to Erika Kirk, your husband's been shot, and then got off the phone and then caught. Like, can you imagine? You're that person that has to relay the message, but you're thinking, I got to call my dad. I got to call my pops, while you have the widow on the phone. You would be on the phone with her until she arrived to see the body. You'd almost be like that. Like, okay, I'm gonna keep on the line here. It's bad. It's really bad. Whatever it is. Or you call after Charlie's on the way to the hospital and say, Erika, I got some bad news for you. Charlie Kirk was shot, and they've taken him to the hospital. I don't know if he's going to make it. I really don't. It looks really, really bad. And I'm here for you. I'll stay on the phone as long as you need. Whatever you need, I'll help. And then once she hangs up, then if you needed to, call your dad. But I don't know if you needed to do that right away, because you have your whole team that is scrambling around you, running around. People are crying, all kinds of stuff. I would think you would be managing or helping out with your teammates, but instead you called your dad. So anyways, I don't want to pick on Mikey McCoy, but it is interesting that she's saying, put your phone down, pay attention, all this kind of stuff, and call your mom.
We're going to talk about the book in a little bit, but I want to pick up on a theme that you've now hit on twice, which is the idea that the black squares that we all have in our pocket, our phones,
Yes.
that they are doing something to us collectively, that they are dehumanizing us. Later, we'll talk about the conspiracies that are spreading right now on those platforms about who killed your husband. What do you recommend to people sitting in this room? What are your practices to disconnect, to reconnect by disconnecting?
Well, like my husband, I took all of it off my phone.
All social media off your phone?
No, I don't have it on my phone. I have a team that helps run it. I really, everyone has an opinion about me. I could care less.
That's an interesting double-edged sword, because I run into that as well, where people will say, I don't watch YouTube. I don't watch the news. I don't watch anything or whatever it is. And you'll be at the dinner table and they're swiping on Instagram, watching video clips of things like this. And they don't have a channel, but they have a channel not to create videos, but they have a channel so that they can comment on other people's channels that are doing the hard work of bringing footage like this and talking about it and giving a commentary and all this stuff. And they'll slam people and they'll say, oh, I'm not on social media, but they'll have an anonymous name in the comment section, and then they'll slam you and say you're evil, you're satanic, whatever it is. I've had this on my channel. I've had this, and I know this is not about me, but social media is a double-edged sword, because the people that are saying, I don't use social media, I take it all off. You have a podcast on YouTube called The Charlie Kirk Show. Mikey McCoy was doing a live stream while Charlie Kirk was doing his debate, his prove me wrong. Frank Turek was FaceTiming live with his kid to record the event on Facebook or whatever it was. I don't know. They're using social media to get awareness out there, including talking about her book or about Charlie Kirk's book. That's what they use it. It's a tool for that. So it's weird to say, I don't have it on my phone at all. My team does. I pay them to do it, but not me. You see how this works? It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a double, it's a contrary way of thinking. Yes, I agree with the idea of putting your phone down and then just going for a walk or going for coffee and all this kind of stuff, which is very hard to do these days. I will admit that. I will give you that. But I've run into people where they say they don't have a TV and they're on their laptop all the time watching stuff. But on their walls, anywhere in their house, there's no television. But they say, oh, yeah, we don't watch TV. But they have a TV in their bedroom. So nobody sees that. Or they watch it on their phone. So they make it look like, hey, we're not into that news stuff. But they're the first ones that are watching the news first thing in the morning. They're the first one to tell you all the stuff that's happening in the political news. Hey, did you know that Trump said this or whatever it is? And I'm like, no, I didn't get a chance to pick up my phone. You didn't? And yesterday they're saying they don't watch anything. These people watch Candace Owens every single day. They watch her. The same people that watch Candace Owens watches Turning Point every single day that they present a video. They watch it. That's your audience. Your audience watches YouTube. Your audience watches Instagram, TikTok, all this kind of stuff. So you don't want to diss your audience at the same time and say, I don't touch that stuff. That's weird. It's my team does all that stuff. Don't start pushing your audience away.
You know what I care about? I care about what my daughter says about me and her running up into my arms and loving on me. That's what I care about.
One of the things that has happened over the 3 months since Charlie was murdered is that people have gone through the thousands, maybe tens of thousands of hours of words he produced. He said more in 31 years than most people will say in a lifetime.
Yes.
And I want to read a few that have captured the most attention, especially on the political left, okay?
Yeah.
Some gun deaths were, quote, unfortunately worth it to preserve the Second Amendment, he said. Acknowledging that he wishes he didn't feel this way, he said, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He said the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. Now, I realize that all of those quotes come from longer conversations that he had on his show.
Correct.
But he did say those things. And Charlie is being memorialized by many people as a person who promoted civil discourse, as a person who said, come to the front of the line, let's have a civil conversation. How do you square that with the statements I just read?
I would love for everyone to be able to watch the full and entire clip of what he said. Charlie didn't care what skin color you were. He didn't care what religion you were. He loved excellence. He loved knowing.
It's interesting that the only way to watch the clip of Charlie Kirk saying those things would be to use social media. You can't get away from it, folks. You can't get away from it. So I appreciate it. It's a good gesture to say, hey, I don't have any of that on your phone, but I think you do. I think you do have it on your phone, because there were times in other interviews where you would say things like, I watched this, or I heard this person say that. So I'll take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I get it. I understand. Especially when you're talking about Charlie Kirk's book, Stop. The idea behind the Sabbath, and maybe I'll do a video on it, is at sundown, you don't do anything. You actually prepare your meals the day before the Sabbath, and you don't work. You don't do anything. Really. And it got to the point where the Jews actually set up a rule that you can't walk too far, especially on the Sabbath. You had to rest. Otherwise, you could be stoned to death for breaking the Sabbath. That's the extreme. Some people make the Sabbath on a Sunday. That's technically not a Sabbath. But I get it if during the week you want to take a Sabbath and say, hey, on Monday, I'm not working. I'm not doing anything. I'm just worshiping the Lord, which is, to me, that's the idea behind it, is you're spending time, you're dedicating time to the Lord, and you're spending time reading. and not just preparing notes for other stuff that you're doing, not just working, but you're actually going off the grid, if you will, to focus on the Lord. That's what I believe the true Sabbath is to rest in the Lord 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As Jesus Christ said, I am the rest. Basically saying, like, take upon me my yoke. Because there are different yokes. There are yokes of iron and wood and all kinds of stuff. And Israel was under that yoke. And Jesus said, take upon me my yoke. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. You can rest in me. When? Anytime you want. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I digress. Let's continue.
That people, his favorite word was earn. He loved knowing that people worked hard to earn what they got. He worked so hard to build Turning Point USA. The first statement you meant about guns and shooting, I have no idea the context of that, and I have no idea that whole, there's a lot more there than just that one little sentence. My husband is not to be deteriorated to 2 sentences. Mm-hmm. He's not. He is a thought leader, and he was brilliant of a man. So that's fine if you want to take words out of his mouth or out of context without the whole thing in perspective. But that's the problem.
Does it bother you that people are picking out those statements and drawing an entire picture of who he was?
Again, that's the problem. You're not having a conversation. You're having a 15-second clip on the internet to define your thought of who someone is, instead of taking the time to educate yourself on truly who that person is, what they thought, because why? They challenged you to think a little different. Again, my husband was an amazing man. We're human. But I do not once, for 1 second, think he was anything else than exceptional.
Erika, as you know, the last person that Charlie ever spoke to was a Utah Valley student named Hunter Kozak. He was asking Charlie a question that day when he was shot, and he's here tonight, and he wants to ask you a question.
Hi there. Erika, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your calls for peace and unity, and I'm likewise horrified by the people in my so-called camp who were cheering about Charlie's murder. I believe that they stoke the flames of violence. But even worse is when powerful, influential people on either side of the aisle stoke the flames. When they do it, the flames can become an inferno. And this leads me to Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth, who has more responsibility than anyone else to put the flames out. Just last month, President Trump called on 6 Democratic lawmakers to be tried for sedition, which he clarified was punishable by death. He then reposted a simple message: hang them. I think that you've been making strides to bring peace to our country, and that Turning Point has been asking Democrats to decry the individuals who cheer for violence. I have and will continue to decry them. But any good faith effort to stop political violence must hold both parties to the same standard and expectation. So in that spirit, will you condemn the violent rhetoric of Donald Trump, the most powerful and influential person on earth?
I appreciate your question.
Well, this is a tough one to answer, because now, how many times have we seen Erika at Donald Trump's office? And Donald Trump's been on record saying, I love this woman. I love Charlie Kirk. So now it's interesting that Hunter brings this up. Like, she's talking about political violence. Trump mentions it. I think it was about something, I forget what that context was, but something around the idea that there were a few people that were saying something I don't know if it was the Epstein files or whatever it was, but because they said something, disagreed with something that Trump had mentioned, that they should be hung as treasonous. Because if you cross the line delving or releasing secret information that was behind closed doors, you could be hung for treason in the realm of the government. So I think that was the context. So it's interesting that he brings this up here.
You know my heart. Why would I ever say, yes, go murder people? This is so much deeper than just one. I understand your sentiment. I do. But this is also so much deeper than just one person. This starts at the home, okay? This starts with family. This starts with a seed that grows and grows. You can choose to have evil in your heart, or you can choose to have light. What you consume and what you absorb from the outside world will manifest itself.
That's interesting. I have pictures of the Garden of Eden. You can choose right or wrong. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, seed. The curse of the seed, basically, there's one seed that's, I think it's Genesis 3:15, where God said that in the future, a seed will crush your head, and you will pierce his foot. So it's interesting that she's talking about seed, and whatever you manifest inside will actually come out, I guess, later. So let's just hear what she's saying.
No, I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
Okay. Ahead, a father whose daughter was murdered in cold blood because...
So we are going to end the show, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward to a click, because I thought she was going to jump onto Candace, but I think they're going to do another segment, and then they're going to come back probably at the end of the show. So I'm going to extend this episode a little bit. I know I was going to try and keep it to an hour, but it's almost impossible. So I'm going to extend this a little bit so that we can get to the Candace Kirk stuff. So hang on, let me just grab that clip right here. All right, so we're going to get to the part where she starts talking about the conspiracy, if Erika actually works for Israel and all this kind of stuff. Was it a psyop? Was it all kinds of stuff? I skipped over probably about 6 or 7 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of talking about Israel and where they are in position to supporting Israel and all this kind of stuff. I'll probably do that in another episode, but I wanted to get to the part where they start talking a little bit more about Candace, and because this is about the Erika Kirk and Candace war, so I want to get into more of that, and this is an extension of the show, so you can almost look at it like we're going into overtime here, because I think this is important. Here we go.
being able to separate truth from lies, reality from unreality. A 22-year-old man named Tyler Robinson has been arrested and charged with the murder of your husband. And yet there are a huge number of conspiracy theories, you might call them brain rot, that are spreading right now online about the actual story behind the reality. One, people say that Tyler Robinson was actually a MAGA Republican. Or two, some people say you were actually a Mossad agent sitting in front of me, and you were Charlie's handler, and Israel killed Charlie.
Right.
Other people say that a number of men in the crowd were wearing maroon T-shirts.
That's something that I believe Candace Owens brought up about the maroon T-shirts. So what they don't understand is Candace sets traps. She sets bait and she sets traps. What do I mean by that? She says things on her show that are unique to her show. So the only way that you can come up with this to talk about it as a talking point is because you watched her show. So it's almost like putting chapter marks, taking a book and putting a little highlighter, and maybe you like pink. And someone picks up that book and goes, that's my book. And like, oh, really? If you open up the book, you'll see pink highlighting all over the book because that's what I do. It's a signature mark. So this maroon color T-shirts is a signature, is a bait that Candace puts throughout her show so that she can identify who's watching my show. So clearly someone has watched her show. And again, some of these people that come against Candace are watching her show every single day. They're watching it. So let's continue.
And this signifies that his killing was an elite airborne operation, whatever that means. They say that the rings on your fingers, which are
My kids'
your
initials,
kids' initials,
my wedding band, the Medal of Freedom, my engagement ring.
but apparently they symbolize some kind of secret plot. There's also a new theory that Egyptian aircraft have been tracking you.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on? Why are there so many conspiracies spreading about what's...
Okay, that Egyptian thing, I'm hoping she's going to talk about that because I'm telling you, that is making the internet go crazy. Egyptian planes following Erika Kirk around for at least 2 years. At the beginning, when Candace was going down that rabbit hole, she thought the planes were following Charlie Kirk. But they weren't. They were following Erika. So I'm curious to know, like, okay, yeah, laugh about it, but you do have to explain why. And as soon as you start saying that, yes, it's true, you're giving more clout, if you will, towards Candace Owens because she's not lying then. She's not lying about this stuff. So I'll be interested to hear that part. How much time do we have left in the interview? Oh, we're halfway done the interview. This is going to be for sure a two-parter. For sure. All right, let's continue.
seems to be a pretty open and shut case.
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips. Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this.
We don't need an answer immediately. We just need to know that the answers will be addressed, i.e., did Tyler Robinson work alone? Was he the lone gunman? Was there people that helped him? Did he even shoot Charlie Kirk? All this kind of stuff. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for an answer right away. Like if Kash Patel went on record and said, we have 100%, or we're 99% sure this guy was the lone gunman. We have so much proof. It's ridiculous. You're going to see it in trial. It's going to come out. We don't want to spoil anything, whatever it is, 100%. Instead, he says things like we're looking into other leads. Erika has been on record saying that people are still sending her leads, and they're not leaving any stone unturned as to who killed Charlie Kirk. Well, I thought Tyler Robinson did. Why are you looking into other leads? Why are you paying attention to anything unless you're not 100% sure that Tyler Robinson was on his own?
Egyptian planes.
Do you, let's
No, but Egyptian.
Okay, let me back this up. Let me back it up.
This is the first time that we have seen evil on display where we have social media at our fingertips. Something so evil that happened, people are wanting answers immediately. They are wanting to figure out how to wrap their mind around this. Egyptian planes.
Egyptian
planes.
Do you believe that Tyler Robinson murdered your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again.
I think the weird thing is about this, the vibe that I'm getting, like she's slowly winning me over to her side, but then every once in a while I go, oh, why are you smiling at the weirdest time? Like you're smiling at the weirdest time. Your husband was killed by this guy, and you're smiling because it's too easy. It's too simple. I don't know. I'm not in her shoes, obviously, but the smiling at the wrong time is kind of weird for me. And people do this when I'm gonna tell you an answer and it's brilliant or whatever it is. You smile before and then you let it go. And it's like, I think those are the things that people look at Erika and go, oh man, now you're being unauthentic. You were authentic, but now you're becoming unauthentic when you smile at the thought of people saying that, hey, we think Tyler Robinson had help, and you smile. And it's weird. That's not the time to smile. Just my humble opinion.
Everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all. And let me tell you this. Why in the world, why should we, prior to the trial, lay all of our hands and cards on the table for the defense team to see, to somehow then, I don't even know what they would do with it. But what I will say, and I want to get on the Egyptian plane thing, we'll take a flight on that for a second.
It's, to me, it's not that you're laying all the cards on the table, but you're putting the public at ease to say, look, he worked alone, and that's it. But if you start saying we're checking out leads, it gives the audience the idea that maybe there's more to the story. And that didn't happen with Donald Trump's assassination attempt. When the sniper got the killer, the guy that shot, or I should say the person that, I can't even remember his name, that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, they killed him. It was case closed. It was over. Nobody suggested that, as far as I know, that there were multiple people trying to get Donald Trump that day. Now, you can argue that there probably was a couple of people shooting at Trump that day. Seems kind of weird that they erased the evidence so quick. And I think that's part of the problem, is it's too quick to erase the evidence. They're too quick on that part and then slow on other parts. So I think that's the problem. So I think she's going to get to this Egyptian plane thing.
What I will say is what I'm worried about, and I'm fascinated, just from a legal standpoint, to see how the United Healthcare trial pans out. And I say that because this is the first time where we are seeing the implications.
You're talking about Luigi Mangione.
Correct. I prefer never to say any of their names. They do not even deserve the ounce of oxygen and breath out of my body. But what I mean is, it's fascinating to see how social media will impact that court case, just how it might impact mine.
Are you nervous he's not going to get a fair trial?
I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like, they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case,
That's how widespread you think these.
It's interesting that we're worried about tainting the jury pool when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. If you're worried about that as a killer, you wouldn't kill someone in broad daylight. But you're making a statement doing it in broad daylight. This is why there's thousands of conspiracies now out there, is because it was done in daylight in front of cameras rolling. Everybody, including your team, your social media team, were rolling with their cameras while Charlie Kirk was being executed. You can't get away from that stuff. So I think I know where Erika is going, and this is what people do. They say, if you're digging into this stuff, you have mental illness. I know this because I've been called this as well. I've been called out. People have said this on my comments saying, you're mentally ill for even discussing this. Okay, but it's okay for Erika to be interviewed by Bari Weiss. That's okay. She's not mentally ill. Bari Weiss is not mentally ill. But if I review this and I ask questions and share my thoughts, I'm mentally ill. Candace Owens is sick, is mentally ill because she's asking questions. She needs to go into a mental hospital. I've heard people say this on the left and on the right about Candace Owens. I've been called that as well, saying you need mental help, Shane, for talking about this subject. And yet Erika can go on Turning Point, all her people can go on the Charlie Kirk show and talk about these kind of things. That's okay. But as soon as we do it, it's like you're trying to make money and you're mentally ill. You're mentally ill for trying to promote your channel or whatever it is. It's weird. It's weird.
Conspiracies have gone.
Yes.
That's how mainstream they've become. Okay.
Egyptian planes.
You
We'll
want to talk
attack
about
that one?
Egyptian planes?
Okay. I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I'd travel, I've never been. I mean,
Okay, this is where it starts getting weird now. She's been pregnant for 2 years straight, I guess. Because it was I heard the idea that it could have been up to 4 years of following Erika around, which is interesting. But I think for sure 2 years. So most people are pregnant for 9 months. But this is where it kind of gets a little bit shady, if you will. Like it gets like, oh, I'm now moving back over to Candace's side, because before you had me at the heartstrings. Now I'm like,
I've been, but I'm not within those dates that they've.
But you even said you need to.
No,
let me
but this
back
is
it up.
Egyptian
Let me
planes.
back it up.
You
We'll
want to talk
attack
about
that one?
Egyptian planes?
Okay. I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I'd travel, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those dates that they've.
But you even said you need to.
No, but
address
this
these
is,
things?
yeah, but I do on that one.
Okay, we got to just unpack this for a second. Did it not sound like she said that I was on those Egyptian planes? Candace Owens had never said one time that you're on the plane, Erika. But now you're admitting that you've been on the planes, just not on those dates that were presented. And you're pregnant for 90% of the time while you're on those planes, meaning it's okay to be pregnant and be on planes. Or I don't know what she's trying to say here. I don't, like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness. If I was her lawyer, I would say, why did you say you're on those Egyptian planes? Why did you say you went to those places? Why did you say that? We need a gag order on Erika Kirk, because you're gonna taint the trial just by what you're saying. You're telling us you're worried about the jury pool being tainted. What you just said now tainted the jury pool, because if they're watching this interview, it's like, wait a minute. Candace Owens has been on record to say that they're Egyptian planes. You never denied. You never said Candace Owens is lying, that there was no Egyptian planes. Instead, you're saying you're on these Egyptian planes, and you went to the same places that was mentioned while you're pregnant. So all you have to do is do a timeline thing and go, okay, 90% of the time she was pregnant when she was on Egyptian planes. Okay, when was she pregnant? How old are her children? You could start figuring out, oh, wow, this is interesting. She's going back and forth to Egypt. Why is she going back and forth to Cairo? Why is that a thing? Why is this Egyptian plane going to this country? I'm telling you, this is not good for Erika. Let me back up again to make sure that you don't think that I'm making up something here. I'm looking for her to say, I never was on an Egyptian plane at all. I don't even know about these things. This is crazy.
Kyle? Are you?
Well, I'm nervous that there could be, they'll say we can't find a fair jury. Like they're going to taint the jury pool. And in that case,
That's how widespread you think these conspiracies have gone.
yes.
That's how mainstream they become. Okay.
Egyptian planes.
You
We'll
want to talk
attack that
about
one?
Egyptian planes?
Okay. I was pregnant for 90% of those trips. Mind you, I've never, all those places they said I've traveled, I've never been. I mean, I've been, but I'm not within those dates that they've.
But you even said you need to address
No, but this is,
these things?
yeah, but I do on that one, only because from a humor standpoint, I intentionally, when I was pregnant, hid. Not because I was embarrassed, not because I didn't want anyone. Yes, we did keep it very private, but it's because it was a moment very sacred. I was growing a human inside of me, my baby. The world that Charlie and I live in is very toxic at times.
Yeah.
And when you are growing a beautiful child in you, I don't want to be around it. I want to enjoy eating my In-N-Out burger and my hot fudge sundae. That's what I want to do. I'm pregnant and I have 9 months to own it. You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No, I'm not. So if you want to go through my flight log, go right ahead. It's very boring. You say I was here on this date. I have a photo in my phone to prove that I actually was in the hospital because I was having contractions. So game on.
The podcaster Candace Owens.
Okay, this is where we're getting this. The whole show has been about this part, but so it sounded like she said she's been to those places. I thought she was saying that she's been on those planes. Now she's saying, no, I was 90% of those time, which I kind of wish she had said at the beginning that 90% of the time I was in the hospital for those planes, meaning anytime those Egyptian planes were following Erika around, coincidentally, wherever she was at an event, those planes were at the airport. That's what Candace Owens was talking about. Candace Owens never said you're on the plane at all. But it's interesting that you said that you've been to those places, just not on the dates mentioned. It's interesting. Okay, so now we're getting into Candace Owens.
At one time, a friend of Charlie's. At one time, an employee of Turning
Oh, at one time. So no longer a friend of Charlie's, no longer a friend of Turning Point.
She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies.
Wow. That's Candace is going to come back on that for sure. For sure. You just wait for it. Like building her business on lies. Now they're calling her a liar. That her whole business is built on lies. You just woke a sleeping giant by saying that alone. Are you kidding me? Candace has been on record to say that, look, if you come at me, I'm going to start releasing text messages. And if you come at me and try and harm me or whatever, I have 6 people that I've given all my information to so that they could release it to the public as well. And now you're calling Candace Owens a liar, a former friend, a traitor, I'm putting that in, but that's like, you're not a friend of Charlie because you're coming at Turning Point. You're not a friend of Turning Point because they're Erika's family. So, and her business is built on lies. That's going to come back to haunt, I think, these people, because don't think that Candace just throws something out there for nothing to get clicks, because she's been working. This is her MO from day one, to talk about all kinds of conspiracy stuff and digging up to try and figure out what the truth is. So to call her a liar and to say her business is built on a lie, ooh, okay. You just rang the bell.
What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Okay. The next question
That's
comes
it?
from a person who may be familiar to you, Erika, because Charlie interviewed him for his show last August. Rob Henderson, to you.
Thank you, Bari. And thank you, Erika.
All right, I just got to pause that here. So that's it? That's all she said is stop? Stop? Wow. Almost like, okay, you built your whole business on lies. Okay, I think we have to counter that before we end the show, because I have a little clip here, and this will help me to get into the next episode, because I want to end on making you think a little bit, because you've heard her story of what she said about the Egyptian planes, that she was pregnant, all this stuff, and then just a quick little shot across the bow about Candace, that her whole empire is built on lies. That's interesting. Okay, I want to show you this clip here. Okay, this is a video clip from Zach Costello, where he basically put a little piece together to show what Erika said, that no one has been on record. There's no way that Charlie Kirk has ever had a message that anyone is trying to kill him, anyone is trying to murder him. So he put a couple of little clips. I'm just going to show this real quick, and then we'll share my thoughts, because again, we're going off the idea that Candace has built her empire on lies. Okay, well, let's just see if that is true.
Quick housekeeping first and foremost. Yesterday, we covered Erika Kirk's interview with Glenn Beck, wherein she said that she had Charlie's cell phone and he never said that he thought someone was going to kill him. We now know this to be inaccurate. Watch.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
He wrote me this: please pray for me. I'm under the gun on something right now. Prayers appreciated. I texted him and I said, I hope you've increased your security detail. He texted me back. He said, quote, I have. I know they want me dead. And I don't know who he meant by they.
So that's Frank Turek, the guy who was right next to Charlie Kirk when he was shot. And he has said this multiple times. Candace Owens also said explicitly Andrew Colvette has these messages too. We'll be looking for more on that.
Okay, so now we have Frank Turek that said that he was getting messages from Charlie saying they want to kill me. We have Erika also, when she went to the hospital to see Charlie, said she wanted to see what they did to Charlie. They, not one person, they. And I'm going to show you one more clip here. All right, so this is now a clip on Candace Owens on Jimmy Dore. So I'm just going to play this.
That say, nah, this didn't happen. The hunters that are saying, nah, but this didn't happen. Sorry, because they know that that's true. Truth is resonating.
Well, I just want to bring this up because people keep saying that you're the one lying, even though you keep continuously catching other people in inexplicable lies about everything surrounding this event and Charlie Kirk's legacy. For instance, they were all trying to say that it wasn't true that Charlie had turned on the Greater Israel Project. And you said that you had text messages. They said it was a lie. And then you, of course, revealed them. Here's the Jewish donors play into all the worst stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And so when you produce, that's funny, they tell you you're lying, and then you produce them, and then they go, well, why would you release private text
messages?
So you can't, they create this scenario where you can't win, no matter if you prove them to be liars. You shouldn't have done it. It was inappropriate. And if you don't prove them to be liars, then you're the one who's lying. And so I can't get over again that they think this is going to work. And so I just wanted to bring this up. Erika Kirk. Now there's a new one where you have relayed information that Charlie Kirk told people the day before he was killed that he said they're going to kill me. And so Erika was asked about this by Glenn Beck. I miss how he used to cry all the time. I don't know why he doesn't do that anymore. I miss it, but he was my favorite crier. But here we go. Here's what she had to say about it.
I have unbelievable amounts of death threats. My kids have kidnapping threats, death threats. Our whole team has death threats. We knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I.
So I just want to stop it for a second. This isn't the point of this video, but she kind of makes it sound like this is new. She's admitting right there, this is not new. This has been always. This has been so people.
I'm still waiting for the part where Candace is lying, because again, what's her name? Bari Weiss led in with that Candace's empire is built on lies. So she produced the evidence that Charlie Kirk was saying, I'm done with this pro-Israel thing. And then Erika says they've always been getting death threats. Her, Charlie, and her kids.
It sounds like they're trying to make it out like you are creating these death threats other people have.
Yeah.
And it's just, she's there admitting that we always knew, she said, and they always were receiving death threats. So it's not, I don't know why they bring it up, because it's not new. But anyway, here we go.
We promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
Okay. Well, the problem is we have Frank Turek saying that he did say that. So here, let me play that.
And so I texted him. I said, Charlie, I hope you've increased your security detail. And he said, I have. I know they want me dead. Now.
So, what? Just go. What? Go ahead. Take it where you would like on that, because here again. We have these people calling you a liar, and yet we have Frank Turek saying exactly, and then so they keep contradicting each other unwittingly, and that it indicates that someone's lying. And as you always point out, the only reason you would lie is to cover something up. So take it where you want.
Well, here's what I'm just gonna tell the truth. Okay. I did not see that she had said that when I did my show yesterday. And then I saw it after, and I can tell you 1000% that Andrew Colvett told me the night before Charlie was murdered that Charlie Kirk texted him and said, they are going to kill me. Andrew Colvett is the person who received a text message from Charlie Kirk saying they're going to kill me. And I'm not getting that third party. I got that directly from Andrew Colvett. He asked me to keep it off record, and I would have kept it off record if Erika did not imply that I lied, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying she is saying Candace is lying. I am saying that since I was the one who put it out there, she's implying that I'm lying and that that's not true. So we have a scenario here where either Andrew Colvett has told an explicit lie, or Erika Kirk is telling an explicit lie. It's not up for me to determine who. I didn't receive that text message, but yeah. And I also was told by a person at Turning Point USA, who I'm not going to name because they are one of my sources, that Dan Flood received the same message. So,
wow. So again, you're now faced, is Erika lying or is Candace lying? And Candace is saying, ask Andrew Koval. He's the one that sent me the text saying that I think they're going to kill Charlie Kirk tomorrow, the day before. So don't think that message isn't going to come out in the next few days. I'll be shocked if it doesn't come out today. But don't be shocked if that message from Andrew doesn't come out to say that I think they're going to kill Charlie, which makes Erika a liar, or Andrew didn't tell Erika, which makes him kind of weird. Wouldn't you tell the wife of the person that's going to get assassinated, hey, look, you guys, I know you guys get death threats every single day, but this one I think is legit. They are going to kill you. Multiple. We keep getting they. Eventually, you're going to come to the conclusion that Tyler Robinson didn't act alone. So we're going deep down this rabbit hole. And I thank you for sticking around for the last hour and a half. We had to kind of extend it to overtime to be able to present a little bit of both sides of the story. And we're going to continue this because I think it's going to get really hot. The temperature is going to go up over the next few days. So thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys. And join me on tomorrow's episode. Bye for now.